Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Shaman Durek. It's an honor to be here with you. It's always an honor to hold space for such powerful, beautiful family of leaders. Remember who you are. You are lit leaders of legacy, powerful beings that have come to Earth to raise the vibrational energy and pull this planet out of any energies of dense frequency by transmuting it through your lifetime experience. I'm happy to be here on this planet with you on this journey. And it's so wonderful to be alive with each and every one of you all over the world. I love being able to show up and be here for you, to hold space for you, to speak with you, to engage with you. A lot of you have been asking me questions about my Instagram as of recently, and a lot of those questions have been, why the change? And so one of the things that I've been really meditating on and talking to Spirit is that I didn't want my Instagram to be just a glorification. When I go through social media, I see everyone just focusing on themselves. Everything is about themselves. And I realized that even when I go to people's stories, it's all about themselves. I wanted it to be about other people and what they're doing and lifting the voices of other leaders around the world. I also wanted to bring things that were going to keep you constantly growing and shifting and recognizing the power that you represent on this planet. So I decided to change the Instagram to more focus on you, focusing on giving you tips and ideas and ways in which you can have fun and discover yourself through your intuition, shamanic psychic readings, and being able to access your power in a very easy and effortless way. Because remember, anything that we do on the spiritual health and wellness level, it has to be fun. It has to be exciting. It has to be something where you don't say, I'm working on myself, which is more, I'm evolving with myself. I'm loving on myself. I'm embracing myself. I'm aligning myself to the divine principles that allow me to live in harmony and in love and generosity and kindness and in a feeling where we're acknowledging community. I think it's important that we get out of this putting ourselves up on pedestals. I mean, even in my position and who I am in life and, my success and everything, it's never going to be where I forget about community, and always staying humble is one of the greatest gifts you can ever offer. Humbleness doesn't mean weakness. It means acknowledging that you are always going to be kind. You're always going to be there for community. You're always going to show up. You're not going to put yourself above other people just because you've written books or you have a lot of followers or you've been on TV or, you're, all of these things. As we rise, we also have to help other people to rise. And in that, we go bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's something that my wife and I always focus on. And, is to always be humble and always be kind to people and always be available for community. No, why would I ever break up with my wife? We're going to be together for this life and all the lives to come as we have been before. So it's really amazing to be able to show up for each and every one of you. So tonight, if you haven't signed up, we have an amazing webinar on quantum physics. Now, if you haven't been to any of our quantum physics webinars, you're definitely missing out because I've been explaining and teaching about getting you in touch with understanding the wave frequency and dissolving the wave into particle and how to make things manifest easier in your life so that you can maintain and see things happen very quickly. A lot of times what people do is that they'll have these ideas and desires of things they want to come into fruition, but they don't understand how energy operates in the universal field. And that this isn't just spiritual, this is scientific as well. So we've been going over spirituality and quantum physics and how they connect and why it's so important to have this knowledge and this awareness of how energy operates in the universe, from the way that you speak to the way that you think and to the way that you feel. Because when you think, you're generating electric energy. When when you feel you're generating magnetic energy, and those two energies are affecting how your observation is when you're looking at possibility. So if you haven't signed up for tonight's webinar, which is only in an hour, you should definitely get involved. And if you can't make it, still sign up, because then you'll get the class anyway, and therefore you can take it. So it's going to be phenomenal. But other than that, I am so happy. I don't know if you got on to Instagram today to get your weekly shamanic reading. So please do check out the Instagram for your weekly shamanic reading. We'll be doing that every week. You can also check out some of the other tips and tools that I've been putting on there with videos that I've been making from some of the webinars and some of the healing temples, so that you can have some information. And I've been giving you like 10 tips. So if you follow those tips and you actually do the things that I'm sharing with you, these are things that I, through my own life, and this is something that's very dear and near to my heart. And I'll explain to you why. When I was a little boy, I loved connecting to spirit. I loved discovering the unknown and diving into the places of life that people weren't going into in the early 70s when I was a little kid, and growing up in the 80s. People thought a lot of that stuff was taboo. You know, Manchurian mushroom and kombucha, I was making it before it even hit Whole Foods. There were no Whole Foods. There was no Air Ones. There was none of those things. It was just community of people who were doing things in their home, and I was one of those people. I turned my father's kitchen into a literally like from what you would see today, with wheatgrass and blue-green algae and Manchurian mushroom. And, you know, so I've always been a very much type of person who's been associated to the health and wellness and also the spiritual aspects. In my father's home, when I was a kid, I had a room, and it was my apothecary room, where I used to collect all of my herbs in jars. I had like all these herbs in jars, and I would go in there and I would read and I would meditate and I would talk to spirit and I would do all kinds of things to be able to be who I am today. Because, you know, in my family's roots, my great grandmother was a spiritualist, and that's what she used to do, and it's been passed down in my family heritage. But anyway, that being said, I began to grow into who I am. And one of the things that I always thought was fascinating was everything that I did, I would do for myself first, to see if it had some kind of value, or if it was actually something I was willing to share with other people. And that's something we have to be very mindful of today, because a lot of times when you go through social media, you go on people's, you know, sites, and they say a lot of spiritual things about things, but they haven't really spent the years of devotion, you know, maturing these wisdoms and these ideas and these concepts. They've regurgitated other people's information and then kind of put their own spin on it, instead of actually going directly to spirit and source, and to our mother, father, God, and to the trees and to the flowers and to the nature spirits and to the elemental spirits and to all the different beings, and asking them questions that support us, and then utilizing those things for ourselves, and then sharing them with our community. I think wisdom is something that is matured. I think wisdom is something that comes with age. You know, I'm 50 years old. I started this path when I was 5 years old. I think wisdom comes with a degree of devotion. You're devoted to community. You're devoted to humanity. You're devoted to the development of seeing other people radiating their light, their beauty, their joy, their excellence into this world. And we have to be very mindful that we're not just listening to someone regurgitating something and just replaying on it, and then everyone's like, "Oh my God, that was amazing." Wisdom, it really is a nurturing, cultivating thing, you know, and especially when we're operating in devotion to spirit. Everything that I share in my webinars and everything that I share with everyone in our family of leaders is because I've spent, years and years and years and years and years of communion with spirit and nature and with all types of beautiful ancient beings that have shared their knowledge and wisdom with me, and all of my other lifetimes, of course, have played a great part of that as well. But it's important for us to be able to know that it's not like, that's why you don't see me doing courses on like chakras and things like that. Like, I'm taking you into information that to help you to be very diverse in the knowledge that you have, so that your repertoire and your ability to bring these transformative energies into play in your own life is done in a very elegant and very grounded way. A lot of people, just so you know, I'm a Scorpio, Capricorn, quadruple Scorpio and Capricorn rising. So I'm very about practicality and making things effective to where we are in our soul journey, where we are in our evolution. You'll never hear me talk about things that are too woo-woo, because it's not that I don't respect people who do that, and that's what they choose to do. But it's because I'm a very practical, very systematic about how these things affect your life in the here and now, right? Like, if you ever ask me like about your past lives, I only focus on the past lives that are focusing on what's going on with you right now. I don't think spirituality for entertainment is truly gaining the greatest amount of wisdom and aptitude to take you to the level that you need to be taken to in order to recognize how powerful you are as a leader. So the type of leadership that I offer is recognizing your truth, recognizing who you are, recognizing what you're capable of doing, and the places inside of you that are needing some, elevation, so you can match your frequencies on a multidimensional level of your being. Because a lot of times what happens is, on earth, is that people spend so much time observing themselves, like they'll say things like, I have, a blockage, Shaman Durek, in my heart or something. They'll say this to me in a session or something. And I ask them, did you ask your heart if it has a blockage? Or are you just assuming or making that up? Or you're just feeling energy there. So you just say that it's a blockage without doing some due diligence. You see, when you're on the path of true wisdom, you are not just making things and saying things because you feel something energetic. You are actually engaging the very part of your being that's creating it and asking it, heart, are you blocked? And really paying attention to that awakening of truth. And a lot of times people will say to me, well, I don't hear anything. Well, the reason why you don't hear anything, it's never on the spirit's part. Spirit always communicates. God always communicates. Angels, spirit guides, ascended masters, orishas, animal spirits, nature spirits, everything communicates in the universe. It's a beautiful communication playground, I can tell you that. What it is that part of you is blocking it because you're not choosing to hold in and listen, because you're not ready to either, one, get instruction, because a lot of times people don't like to be told what to do. And that's the first thing you have to surrender when you step into a spiritual alignment with spirit. It's not about being told what to do. It's given what is called divine instruction. Divine instruction means that it's for your highest good. So why are you fighting against God and your team that's out there every single day, wanting to make your life so beautiful, so wonderful, so amazing? And everything that's coming out of your mouth and everything you're thinking and feeling is literally going against everything that they're doing for you. It's kind of like being on a team where you're playing soccer and your team is like doing everything to win, and you're kicking the ball in the wrong net for the other team. That's what happens when you speak in narratives that that are going against you. That's what happens when you continue to hold on to things of the past and use them as examples of why you feel the future isn't, your timeline now isn't operating properly. That's what it is when you are saying things like, I have a block here, or I'm this, or anything where you use the word I'm, and it's not operating in the energy of holding you in the highest light, the highest grace, the highest power, the highest level of growth and evolution and beauty and strength and divine. It is truly so powerful when you begin to use words. You can still say things like, you can say, things haven't been going well in my life. You can make a negative statement, okay? But you cannot end it there. You can say, things aren't going really well in my life. However, spirits, angels, and ancestors are opening up a pathway for me to see clearly what is going on, so that they're bringing clarity to me and shifting my energy right now. You see, because now you're still being honest, right? Like you can say, money, I have a block making money. However, the spirits are proving me wrong and showing me where I can generate money and abundance in my life and create a better life for myself. You see, you're shifting the narrative, you're shifting the frequency. So those are some of the things that we're going to be going over tonight in our quantum physics webinar. And just so you know, all of my webinars, not my sessions, because I do have a huge team and I do have to take care of things and and be abundant and prosperous. But a lot of my things that I offer, including the healing temple, the webinars, are very inexpensive. And I do it that way because I go out and I see all these different people charging people $2,500 for one workshop and this and that and the other. And that's great and all, but I'm not here trying to break your bank. I'm here to give you an opportunity to raise your frequency, your vibrational field, and be able to step into an awareness of yourself as a leader in ways that you just can't even possibly imagine until you see how amazing you are in the eyes and the love of our Mother, Father, God. Because that's who I serve on this planet. I don't serve the world in the sense of I have a purpose or I have some mission, some grand mission to be some powerful shaman who's got a mission to save the world. I'm not here to save the world. The world is going to save itself if it chooses to. What I'm here to do is offer the time that I have breath in my lungs and I'm able to share with you the love of our Mother, Father, God, and all the spirits. That's what a shaman does. We are, how do we say, ambassadors to share information and love and from the spirits to the physical world, so that you are able to take that knowledge that you are so beautiful, so powerful, so amazing, so bright, so shiny, so on glow, right? Everything that God sees in you, which is everything that's so powerful, you know, and see it and live it and breathe it and speak it and know it. And when people speak to you from a place that does not serve love, when people talk about you from a place that does not serve love, when people say things about you is not from a place that serves love, that's between them and God and spirit, because they are not channeling God's love. They're channeling the lower dimensional fields of darkness. And you have to make a pact with yourself, like I do. You got to make a pact, right? And the pact is anything that is not coming from God's love, channeled from God's love, channeled from God's kingdom, which is our Mother and Father God and Child God, that is here to lift, shift, embrace, illuminate, and elevate me. I do not care. I put no energy into it. The only thing we can ever do is to offer someone who shares that darkness and just simply ask them a simple question. It's simple. It's, are you trying to empower me by what you're saying, or are you trying to insult me? And if you are insulting me, why? Because you're better than that. And you have love and you have so much in you. So, if there's anything I can do to support you to come out of that darkness, that's what I'm here to do. But I will never, ever in my life tolerate any form of abuse. I will never enter in my life. I don't care what anyone says about me in the media, in the press, about what people share to each other. If it's not coming from love and it's not coming from God, it's not for me. And that's what I encourage you to start taking in your life as a leader. One of the words I always say is, I don't take ownership of that. I'm sorry. And that's okay. I don't take ownership of it, you know, because there's a lot of people who are hurting on the planet right now. And they're looking for someone to lash out at. They're looking for someone to blame. There's jealous people. There's people who feel you owe them something. There's people who have these fantasy ideas of what they thought they were going to get from you. There's all kinds of people with all of their very interesting ideas. And those are interesting ideas. And there's a lot of people who have a lot of opinions that have never been, sourced through God. What I basically mean is they didn't ask God, is this thing that I'm thinking serving the highest level of love in your kingdom? There's people walking around right now telling people they're going to hell and they think they're agents for God when actually they're agents for the darkness. There's people who are condemning people just because of who they choose to be in love with. There's people who are condemning women just because they're women and constantly keeping the narrative in their head that women were the fall of man because of the story of Adam and Eve. There's a lot of misconceptions. There's people who believe that shamans are evil when they don't even know that Moses, which is Moshe, and if you know anything about Aramaic language, most people don't know a lot about Aramaic language. They think that Jesus spoke Hebrew, but he didn't. But that's okay. But in Aramaic language, there's no such word as hell. And there is, and Moses was a shaman, and people are like, well, how do you can say Moses was a shaman? Well, let's see. Moses was a part of the Midian tribe who was found by Zipporah, who spared his life by doing a ritual to God, which she was a medicine woman, and her name Zipporah means bird. And she was the daughter. Her father was Jethro, who was the head priest of the Midian tribe. And back in those days, we didn't have the word priest. They were shamans. They were medicine men, teachers of the faith, of nature. So he taught Moses and all of those who were in the Midian tribe. If you know this history of Midian people, they knew the desert. They knew nature. They knew how to call the elements. They knew how to prophesize. They were prophets. They were seers, and they were oracles. And they were able to see signs from God, and they were humble, and they worked with sheep and goat, and they were herders, and they tended to their flock as a way of saying they're tending to being in that humble space. But at the same time, their rituals and their fasting and their things that they did with herbs and medicines were all governed in the shamanic way. So that's why Moses was able to see the burning bush, you see. But again, a lot of people don't know this information. They don't know about Zipporah. They think that that none of these things have any have any importance. People don't even realize that Jesus' story also reflects in Horus's story in Egypt, and also in many other in the Persian culture, in Grecian culture, which we would say the Mesopotamian, in Egyptian. They all had 12 disciples. They all had were born to a virgin mother, again. And also the whole concept of hell, just to get clarity on it, came from when the churches took and changed the structure of the Bible. In St. Constantine, it was based on Dante's Inferno. It was based on the idea of burning, because in the original text of Aramaic language, it talks about burning away the energies that you no longer need and coming back into alignment with love. Now, that's where the whole idea of burning came in. So they took that from the Dante's Inferno and from paganism, because in paganism, whenever you wanted to get rid of something, they used to burn it. They would do these rituals of fire and burning it, right? And so they took a little bit of that, they took a little bit of that, and they created hell. It's very fascinating, our world. Our world is very fascinating. But what we have to do, we have to start digging and stop buying and drinking the Kool-Aid. We have to start having devotion with spirit, asking for clarity of things that we do not understand. We have to start breaking into these places energetically that have been distorted and hurting humanity. How can anyone use any form of religion to hurt another human being? That is so against God's love in every single way. How can anyone ever make someone feel less than? That is against God's love. How can anyone make someone feel fearful of God? That is against God's love. Anyone who tries to put you down or make you feel inferior or tell you that your dreams aren't possible, that is against God's love. Because God is infinite expansion of unconditional love, eternal and omnipresent in all levels and all places and all times and all awarenesses and all timelines, operating in the place of pure love expression. There is no judgment. There is no condemnation. There is no punishment. There's only alignment. Everybody who suffers outside, it's not because God is punishing them. It's because they're punishing themselves, because their soul knows what is alignment with love and what isn't. And that which is in alignment has to be corrected. And the correction is the punishment that someone is creating for themselves. Then we have to understand all of that. And we have to make it lighthearted and not be so hard on ourselves. I can't wait till this planet wakes up and realizes that we have to stop war on our planet. We have to stop suppressing women's wisdom and knowledge and women and thinking we have the right to claim majesty over women's bodies. And we have to really learn how to become a family of light, of leaders who are supporting each other in the understanding of the value of life. Life has value, and it's the most valuable thing, more so than money or power or position or status or anything, is life, love, community, people, life, love, community, people. You know, music, musicians, artists, they are the aspects of God that are bringing forth the memories of awakening on our planet. That's why music has such an impact on us and art has such an impact on us. So for all you musicians out there and artists out there, thank you for opening up doorways to possibility, doorways to other dimensions. Thank you for connecting into other beings throughout the galaxy who are sending you these vibrational patterns of energy that you're turning into music, into song, into words, into poetry, into expression. You know, the muses are real. Call on them when you need them. They're beautiful. So true. Who is creative will never start a war. War is no need for war in relationships. There's no need for war with friendships. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have people who are doing things to you that are just not coming from the highest level of love. Then you have to stand your ground. You have to protect yourself, and you have to, seek the right type of justice. But justice for the fact of them to wake up and realize what they're doing. And if that means you have to go to court, if that means you have to protect yourself, whatever it is you have to do, you got to do. We're not here to say like, oh, well, it's all love and light. It's not all love and light. You can't get to the light unless you go through the darkness. You can't get to the light unless you understand, where the darkness is. That's how I have grown the most in my life, is I have gone into the darkness. I have walked through the darkness. I have had conversations with the darkness. I have had things been done to me that have been dark from other people. And yet I rise out of it like a phoenix. I rise out of it. And when I rise out of it, I don't go, oh, that was horrible. I go, oh, thank you. Thank you for helping me see what I've learned from that experience, right? We learn from our experiences. Everything we go through, every health challenge I've ever been through is an awakening to learning how to deepen myself to energy and the energy dynamics of this universe. The understanding of human suffering and for what purpose, and what sickness feels like, and what does change, what is being pulled from your comfort zone feel like, and how do you lift yourself from these places, and then being able to lift yourself and see that you have an amazing team. That's one thing I love, is I have an amazing team. You have an amazing team. You didn't come here. This is, my aunt wrote a book. She was a famous opera singer, Shirley Verrett, and she wrote a book called I Never Walked Alone. And it's true. I love the title of her book because it's so true. You never walk alone, right? You never walk alone. And, and even in my aunt's book, she in her life and in my family's life, she had to, portray her life as an opera singer, and she never could talk about the deeper things in our family. Only briefly through my grandmother being the spiritualist, but she never talked about like the rituals and the things that we grew up with in our family, because in those days, in my father's days when he was growing up, that was considered taboo and people would have you lynched. And, there was a lot of things that would happen in those times. I mean, if you've seen the movie Sinners, you'll kind of understand that's where my father comes out of. That's where my aunt comes out of. That's where my uncles and my aunties come out of. That's where I got my training, from those people, right? And so when you talk about the African, traditions in Yoruba and, things that were passed down in generations, about how, you step in someone's home and the things that you eat and you don't eat and the things that you say, and listen to people's voices and you can tell what their motives are. All of these things have been embedded in, and people of color who've grown up in those types of families with Mokumba and Yoruba and, Santeria and all these different cultural things that have been passed down from Africa and from Haiti and from, the different cultures, know what this is and what that feels like, And so for me, I grew up in that. I grew up with a father who, when I would come home from a friend's house, he would check my pockets and check my clothes to make sure no one put any kind of mojo on me, or any spells and many kind of herbs hidden in my pocket, because that's the world he came out of. So I was very raised in that kind of awareness of protecting and holding safeguard for people and community and making sure people aren't doing things that are nefarious to hurt other people. So, in my shamanic training, it's always been about, being able to defend against the dark arts, and defend it not from a place of being the darkness, but literally learning how to counterbalance the darkness. One of the things that I will always say to you is, whenever you get a negative thought in your mind, that's a being from the underworld, the dark spirits trying to communicate to you. And the first thing you have to do is you have to go straight to either your spirit guides, to God, to your ascended masters, to your ancestors, to any being of the highest light, and ask. So whenever something says something to me, right, I hear the thought coming in, and it will come in like your own thought, like you're starting to think negatively. That's darkness. They're using your own thinking and making you think it's you. So if you take ownership of it, then you anchor it into your time reality. What you have to do is you have to understand how spirits operate, right? And this is how they operate. Darkness's plan is to be able to convince you of something that's a lie, or invoke fear, that you will give stories and narratives out of your mouth or in your mind to feed that energy that they've already brought into your thinking. Okay, they're hoping that you don't go to God or angels or your ancestors or your spirit guides or your ascended masters to ask for proof or clarity. So whenever darkness speaks to me and says things like, "Oh, look, Durek, the people are saying all these horrible things about you. They're trashing your Wikipedia. They think people are going to think horrible thoughts about you. You should just kill yourself or be done," right? I'm giving you the extremes of things that they'll say to me. The first thing I do is say, "God, is that true? Is that true that I should focus on those things, God?" And immediately God replies to me, "No, beloved child, continue focusing on people and sharing my love with them." Immediately when I hear that, I say, the part of my being that was listening to that, you got the answer from God, let's move on. And that's it. And it's done. I don't play games. I don't go into, "Oh my God, yeah, the press is writing horrible things. Oh my God, people are saying really a lot of lies about me, and now people are going to believe these things. And oh my goodness, oh my goodness, no. Oh, I'm worried. What if I run out of money? No. Oh my goodness, what if I don't get better? No. Oh my goodness, are my kids going to be okay? No. Oh my goodness, is my wife going to return from this vacation? No. I don't go into that. I don't go into that. I go straight to God. And you got to make it. You got to make it. You got to be foolproof on it. You cannot sit and ponder what the darkness is saying. You have to go straight to the light. You got to go, is this true, God? Is this true, Angel Michael? Is this true, Saint Germain? Is this true, Shango? Is this true, ancestors? Is this true, spirit guides? Is this true, beings of light? You have to immediately, you have to go straight to the source. You cannot ponder it for a moment, because the moment you do, the darkness gets you. It loops you, it grabs you, it hooks you. It gets your mind to keep going into that energy. And now everything you've been thinking about that's been amazing and wonderful, that was coming into your life, all your guides and your spirits and your ancestors and everyone who's been seriously out there supporting you, opening doors for you, making paths for you, clearing things for you, have to stop what they're doing, because you're sending a different message to the universe, which is, I'm not clear. I have fear. I have worry. I have doubt. I have shame. I have guilt. I have this. I have that. And then everything goes back to the way it was, and you don't see change. So, my darlings, I love you. We'll do some more lives. I have to go into tonight's webinar. Like I said, you should join us, because it's going to be quite lovely. Because we are going to be talking about this in tonight's webinar. But it's so important, the information that I've shared with you, that you take it to heart, because you're going to see your life change miraculously. You're going to see yourself evolving and elevating in ways you never thought was possible. And it's good. And you're going to go like, oh my God, all this stuff that I've been dealing with is because I've been listening and taking in other people's darkness. When someone says something rude to you, just be like, I don't take ownership of that. You can say it whispery, say it in your head, and just bless them and say, if you're here to empower me, I'm willing to listen. If you're here to insult me, and the way you're expressing yourself right now isn't coming from love, is there anything I can do to support you right now to help you stay in a place of love when you communicate with me? And if you can't do that, then I have to excuse myself. It's very simple. We do not get involved with low dimensional frequencies. We're too high for that. We're too powerful for that. We're too powerful. We're powerful leaders for that. I don't take ownership of that. I'm sorry. I don't take ownership of it. I've had people tell me things, and I've been in press conferences, and people have said, oh, this person said this about you, and this person said that about you. I don't care. You don't care what the person is saying? No, because they're not coming from God's love. And it's not true what they're saying, because anyone who sits down with me, and anyone who breaks bread with me, and anyone who comes in my presence, actually meets me in person and sits down and breaks bread with me, knows that these things that they say are not true. You can feel and look into my soul and my being and know that I love and serve a Mother and Father God. I have no time for the nonsense that people speak about, because it's not coming from the light. But again, when you come into a place of realizing you're a leader, because that's what you are, people are going to get uncomfortable, and they're going to do things and say things and make fun of you and whatever. Let them. You know how Marie Antoinette said, let them eat cake? Let them. Because you don't walk alone. Wow. Well, that's the only time I have left, because I see the clock ticking and it's time for me to go into that webinar. But I love you. I love you so much. And I know how powerful you are. And I know what a gift you are. And I know that you are a leader. I know you are. I know you are. One person once said to me, Shaman Durek, I want to be more like you. I said, no, don't be like me. Be like you. If you want to remember things, I can share those things with you. But be like you. Because you is why God created you. Because you're magical. You're amazing. Why would you want to be like me? Be like you. That's why you're here. And I celebrate you. I celebrate all of you. Thank you for being on the planet. Thank you for taking the time to allow me to share my love with you in this live. Thank you for showing up. And thank you for giving me the space to know that I love you. It gives me great honor to be able to be here to serve you and to support you while we're on this planet together. Until next time, I love you. Amala Ashe. Mwah. Bye, darlings.